John Smith presents The Familiar Face. Act 1. Chapter 1. Paragraph 1. There is only one man who can run this country. And that's I, the newly elected president, Stevie Jackson. I won by a landslide, 4 million votes to 1. And now look who sits in the Oval Office, me, Stevie Johnson. Knock knock, said the chief executive producer. I was in my Oval Office, right, and that's when the chief correspondent Jamie Wonders knocks on the door. Bang bang, as the knock on the door. Mr. President, said the chief correspondent. We need a bill to be passed. Just sign it off. Mr. President. I take the paper, I glance at it. They want me to tax milk? The correspondent tells me it would make us millions and bring us out of foreign debt forever. I looked down, signed it off, looked up, everyone was still alive. I handed my thing off to the correspondent, I turned my chair around to look out the window, and I see a UFO flying by. But that's a story for another day. I leave work, hop in my car and drive home. I get home and I say to my wife, "Phew, what a day." But she doesn't respond. Curious, I poke her. No answer. I poke her a second time, no answer. I poke her a third time. No answer. I decide to check her pulse. There is no pulse. "Wake up, darling," I say. "Wake up, darling," I say louder. I poke my wife again and say, "Wake up, darling," even louder. She opens her eyes and says something to me. She pulls me down closer and whispers something to me. She whispers, "The man." I go into work the next day. Are you getting this? Put that in there. And this. Are the cameras rolling? Are the wheels in motion? I feel like you writing this all down. Are you? And this? What's the last thing you have down? Okay, anyway, going to work. On his motorcycle, no helmet. He shows up to the Oval Office and the executive producer says we need this bill to be signed. Now here's where the foreshadowing comes in. I sit down and the bill is complete gibberish. It's just a bunch of scribbles. I look up and everyone's dead. And every picture of the presidents has been replaced with a weird picture. I couldn't really describe it. It's a pale figure, he looks like the man, I would say. I hopped in my car and I went. I whip open the door and say, "Honey." And then it dawns on me. She's been dead for 3 weeks. But it feels like it was yesterday. Am I perceiving time differently or something? No, I called TB. Then I looked at myself. And then I looked away. "The man," I muttered to myself. Who is the man? I did research. Turns out the man, or a man, is a male. A businessman. Where's his suit? The pictures on the walls had suits. I knew who. Just to call for this situation, my good friend John Smith, world-famous brick salesman. Ding-gallon-galing. John Smith. "Yes, Mr. President. I need you." "You got it, Mr. President." And then John Smith let out a wink. I'm sitting in my home when I hear John Smith's car pull up. I'm sitting at my chair when he comes to the door. He knocks 6 times precisely. I let him in. On his 7th knock. After the 6th knock, I decided to open up. John Smith, looking questionably questioned, thinks, "Why?" But I say, "Well, you're the expert." I said to John Smith, "You gotta tell me who the man really is." John Smith was like, "Why don't you take a look in the mirror, bub?" I was like, "That's ridiculous," but when I looked back John Smith was gone. But I could see a trail of smoke trailing away. I thought to myself, "You gotta sleep on this, babe." I sat on my blankets on the couch because my wife was dead on my bed and I didn't want to move her. When I woke up, I decided I had to look in the mirror. I'm looking, but I don't see anything, and that's when I realized I had a pimple on my skin. I cleared that away with my newest product, Away. I rubbed it on and then I cleaned it off. Off to work, I said to myself really loudly, forgetting my wife had been recently deceased. I hop in my stretch limousine and begin my way down to the Oval Office with my buddy. I walk in and say to my vice president. Anyway, joking with the vice president of the United States of North America. I turn to the vice president and say, "Isn't it ironic that this place is called the Oval Office even though it's actually a square?" I said to the vice president, "What's on my schedule?" The vice president looks at his wrists and says, "Well, you've got to escort the Russell family, and someone named Simeon wants to see you today." Cancel Simeon, cancel Russell, I have bigger fish to fry. I say, I need to figure out who this man is, but that's when I see a giant flaming meteor in the sky and it blows up my office. I sit up. I wake up and shake my head. I look at the president and go, "Huh?" But his head was blown off. I looked at it and said, "No meteor could have done that." I look closely and conclude that his head was blown off with a quadruple-barrel shotgun. Shocked, I say, "The man." I hopped on my horse, said, "Giddy up," and hurried home. When I got home I cracked open my books and said, "I have to work this out." John Smith, nothing. Me, something. I walked to the bathroom. I walked to the kitchen. I look in the mirror. I looked at my pimple that was on my cheek earlier today. It was a giant gash due to the meteor. I'm not a dermatologist, but I gotta get to the bottom of things. I start scratching at it. I feel skin. I keep scratching at it, and reveal pale, white skin. I looked up at the mirror and said, "I am the man." And then I passed out forever. I start getting flashbacks, and that's when I knew that the man didn't murder all those people. I murdered all those people, as the man. But now that I knew it was the man, I could control it. I went to stores, grocery stores, as the man. Kids would go in the alleyway and laugh at me for being the man. I was like, "Shut up," but they kept laughing at me. That's when I knew I had to resign from the United States of America North American Confederacy. Everything was looking down for me. Everyone was looking down at me. People wanted me dead. They even made a sitcom about me. I walked into my home and I went to the mirror to go slit my throat. My wife was still dead. I went to the mirror and I grabbed the razor and I put it to my pale, balding neck. He pressed the razor to his throat and then he pulled it. He opened his eyes, he was still alive. He looked at his neck. He looked at his neck and said, "Huh?" He saw orange skin. "I have to get to the bottom of this," I said. I stuck my thumb up the slit and ripped my face off. And that's when my mouth hit the floor. I was Diablo Frank. I wake up the next morning and two giant hands come out of a ceiling. They pull me up and I come out of a vagina. I looked at the doctor. The doctor looked at me. I looked at his namelg. It said Diablo Frank. The doctor said, "You look like a spicy meatball." The end.